Hello, hope you are all doing well. This Friday is going to be a very special anniversary. You've probably already guessed it. We are talking about Eminem's Venom. No, I'm just kidding. This Friday is going to be the 1 year anniversary since I released Floating on May 24th. And to celebrate, I thought I'd pull apart the Pro Tools session and see what I could show you. So, starting off, it looks like we got two guitars that started off. Oh, before I do this, I just want to recap Floating because it has been a minute. So, Floating was a track that I recorded over a day actually. I gave myself only 24 hours to get a guitar melody and some lyrics to go with it. I didn't want to have a typical verse chorus verse structure, so a lot of the songwriting techniques, it's not like I don't repeat the chorus. That's a conscious decision. It's supposed to take you from point A to point B in a more of a singer-songwriter fashion. So starting off, we have these two acoustic guitars. And these two guitars are going through a guitar reverb that's somewhere around here. It's chilling all the way at the bottom. I'll move it up a little bit. You can see this reverb is being used on all the guitars that are present. I didn't EQ it at the time, but a lot of times nowadays I'd probably EQ it just to get more of the mids present. Maybe I'd cut out a little bit of the low end and the high end. But it looks like what I did for this is I made it just a little bit wider. That effect, what it does is you can kind of hear that versus if I were to start it here, it just gives it a little bit more depth. But if you use too much of it, it does stick out a little bit, especially on vocals or more the distorted guitars. But looking through here, I just did a basic EQ on them both. I probably could have cut off a little more than I did, but maybe something around 60, so you can still have a little bit of low end here. You're still trying to get a little bit of the mids out because that's always what's going to be, I don't want to say most present in the mix, but from my experiences, no matter what radio or what speaker you're working with, there's always going to be that middle frequencies that you want to work towards. I didn't really do much with the high frequencies as much as I could have, which is probably part of the reason this song has a little bit of a darker tone to it sometimes. But you can see I try to differentiate the EQs a little bit. Down here, it's a different low end I'm trying to grab, trying to take a little bit of the mids out of the right side so the left side can have more of it. It's trying to balance the two to create one performance in total. If I keep going to show you, bass is coming up here as well. Oh, one thing about the bass. So at the time, I didn't have a real bass. I was just using this guitar, and I'd pitch it down an octave, and then I'd reamp it if it wants to load. Yeah. So I got that there. You can see I could solo it for you as well. Ooh. So it's sitting right about -6 or so. I tried to get a lot of like that low end that was missing from the guitar sometimes, but I put it on bright because I didn't want it to be very like bass heavy as a track. It needs to be acoustic guitar lit, and I thought the vocals would complement that more than the bass. The bass can very easily take over the track, and it can get just kind of like a muddy mess. So, darkness, oh, jump scare. No, but I'm going here, showing you the bass. Right where the vocals come in here, you can kind of see the drop off. Floating underneath us. You kind of get a vibe for with no bass and with the bass. There's a little bit of a build up on purpose. What I wanted to do is if I add more instruments as the song progresses, it's just kind of adding more to the storytelling. Because if you just kind of throw everything at the wall from the start, it's very easy to get the listener's attention then. But to retain it, you do have to change it up. You can't just keep looping the same thing over and over and over and over. But I keep looping this verse here. Floating underneath us, only parted by a sheet of voice. So going over the vocals real quick, what I did for these is I have this Butch Vig plugin that I've used like every single vocal since I bought it, and it's right around zero roughly for how loud it is. There might be just a little bit of distortion in the corner here. I tried to do a little bit of the compression. It comes with a de-esser as well. It's kind of like the all-in-one. This one does let you focus where you want to have like extra presence. So I did one vocal with a focus on 1K, another one with a focus on 2K. You can kind of see in this vocal there's a little bit more bass. I typically do a lot of low end. Looking at the vocals EQ, you can see I did 154 for the cutoff, so I'm trying to take a lot of that dead air away. But if I were to solo the vocal and I turn off the EQ, you can kind of hear the difference. Floating underneath us. There's a little more high end when that comes in. Only parted by a sheet of ice. So you can kind of see there's a little bit of extra mud or dust or whatever you want to call it. That's at the way bottom there. So you try to cut that out. I was trying to get a low mid, a bit of that to come out more, but I know sometimes you're gonna get more success when you're going closer to 1,000 just regular mids. What happens a lot of times is you have the bass and the guitars and the drums and the vocals are all kind of taking up that low mid frequencies, so you can get a very harsh buildup if you're not careful. But I tried to do that on the whoa. I want to say only one or two of the vocals, but there's a chance I might have done it on multiple of them here. Just it kind of gives a little more of a level presence. It kind of solidifies it even underneath all that. Floating underneath us. So even in the full context and stuff. Only parted by a sheet of ice. You slip. And you can also see here, got a little bit of compression going. It's nothing too bad. This one's a really light compression compared to probably what I would do nowadays. It's a closer to like a 3-to-1, right around there. Floating underneath us. If I was to redo this nowadays, I'd probably turn the gain down a little bit because it doesn't need to be as heavy as it's going. But maybe I would get the gain reduction just a little bit. Floating underneath us. Maybe I'd shoot closer to like a -10 gain reduction instead of 12. I want it to be a little more present than maybe the backing elements of the song, but I don't want it to overtake everything, you know. But if I keep going, I can show you the keys right here. So it just comes in pretty simple. And if I pause it for it crashes. So yeah, for the keys, we got a lot of like acoustic. I was trying to make it sound like an acoustic piano, but I didn't have a piano I could record, and even worse, I'm a bit of a noob when it comes to playing piano. So a lot of what I'm doing is like single keys. I'm just kind of like an old lady on a keyboard, you know. But when I'm doing this, I tried to get these acoustic piano sounds. That's why I have the two sitting here. But this one's like an ambience. I forget how much it changes everything, but you can kind of see the difference it makes right there. When that's present, it adds a little more echo. And on top of that, I might have added a specific type of... I don't know if it's a reverse reverb, is it? No, it's turned off. So yeah, I think that echo there is coming from maybe the ambience that's there. I was trying to figure that out, why that's so kind of tremolo-y. That might be the effect line going right there. There's a delay, which I was not paying attention to before. But you can see there's just a little bit of compression on here as well. A pretty standard. I might have just picked a vocal leveler. On top of that, there's EQ. I might have shown you. Nope. It cuts off right around there. I wanted to get a little bit of that low end out of there, but I still wanted to retain that low presence. I tried to cut it where the bass or maybe the low frequencies of the vocals would be, but like a lot of the tracks here, I was trying kind of boosting it around that 400 to 1,000 a little bit, even if it's not major, but it adds just that little bit of a kick to stand out. it solo. No scripts, and alone with her doubts, you're out. There is a swell that comes up here as well. I'm curious what I did to get that sound. If I reverse it, it might be a guitar, but I'm not 100% confident in that. A lot of times when I'm doing a swell, I want it to build towards something, so I'll take some type of feedback from a guitar or a piano note, and I will reverse it. That might just be some guitar messing around. I don't know for sure. It has been a little while. That says acoustic on there, but I'm confused why that would be an acoustic guitar. Most likely these electrics I was messed around with. If I keep looking here, these come in at the same time as that there. And I don't typically do this, but I did one guitar string doubling in. So this doubles a copy bass, so I can do different effects. Yeah, I did a bit of a delay on the right here to make it a little more vibey. But it is still going through that same reverb that kind of becomes the glue, the atmosphere of the song. But it's kind of a bit of noodling, you know. You never know what you're gonna find. That's how I wrote the electric guitar. I wrote the song in the day, and then I wanted to layer it, so I added that just kind of by messing around, seeing what I can come up with. I was trying to mimic the vocal line, but I still wanted to. I didn't want to just shred over it because I felt that wasn't the vibe of the song. So you can kind of see here. It's just a little line. I told you in private. I don't know where to stand. You told me to let the song in my head. And one thing I was kind of back and forth on was the guitars. I think one of the biggest limitations I had when I was writing the song is you'll have maybe a phrase like that isn't perfectly aligned, but then I don't know where to stand. You told me. And if we're just facing. So part of that is when you're trying to rush and get the song done, like I was saying, I wrote and recorded it in a day originally back in like January of last year. 2 years ago? I don't know. But I took it sometime in May, and I was like, I want to actually track this as a real song. And when I was doing that, I want to say I did the two guitars all at once. I was doing the vocals at once as well. So one of my biggest limitations when I'm recording is how do I do this most efficiently without rushing? Because then you might have these little blips like that. And honestly, I don't think it's super distracting, but it's just something you look back on. In my head, even if we're just is when it comes back in, it just kind of gets more of the in the room vibe. If you're watching a live band, maybe they have a sour note or two, but when it all comes together, it really does come together, and it feels pretty human. I think that was the biggest aspect I was looking for in this song. Is a lot of the inspiration was from like different Beatles songs. You can see Paul McCartney and John Lennon write a song in 3 hours. What could I do in one day? We still ride the sun down. Big part of this was just trying to tell a story from point A to point B, like I was saying, but still trying to embrace that humanity of the song. You can find a lot of human elements in these digital sounds, which I think was really interesting. Maybe not even digital, but what I mean is you record it to Pro Tools. You're gonna listen to it on a computer or a phone, probably. It's very digitally intact, even though it's a very human sounding recording. Light the sun down. And right here I have the guitars and the electric doing something kind of similar. Then it differentiates from the verse a little bit. I always have I was talking to this with my guitar professor, actually. It's pretty funny. When I'm writing a lot of this, I tune my guitar to open E standard so I could do some more chimey stuff. But he was telling me a lot of my riffs I write are very open string oriented. There's a lot of resonance that's always trying to go through. If you listen here, I want to say that's just the B string and the top E string. Then it goes down to the D and G, maybe, then it goes up an octave. there's always that little bit of resonance. If you can get that to ring out, it feels just a little more atmospheric sometimes, I guess is the best way I could describe it. But in the full mix here, it's just that same riff I started on, but I was trying to build the elements a little more. Oh, I enjoy the bass part as well. If I was to re-record this, I'd probably use a real bass and get more of that low end, but you can kind of hear it's going C sharp to E, maybe doing like an octave thing so it can jump down to the B. But if I go back out here, then and nothing to recount. The far behind those eyes tells me something. The stare you gave was dead ringer, void of any soul. Something I do like it's something. When you're doing these type of kind of rushed recordings, I like to call them, just because a lot of times you only have like one night of the week, you work the rest of the week, you're doing God knows what else, and you only have one or two opportunities to really get the time to record. So it's always the question of how can you use it to the best of your abilities. One thing I consistently do in a lot of my songs, and this isn't just because John Lennon did it or Kurt Cobain did it or Dave Grohl, maybe Dave Grohl, but I always love to double my vocals a little bit. I always think that adds just more to the song. It adds more emotion behind the vocals. Age clouds and nothing to recount. You can kind of see coming up here. The fog behind those eyes tells me something. I can show you the vocals. The stare you gave was dead ringer. It's a very type of void of any soul. Otherwise, it'd be pretty dry. Oh, it's something I can't forget. I did a roto speaker too, which I was detest. It's something I can't forget. You can kind of hear it a little bit there. Detest. It's almost like a little bit of chorus. If you hear Planet Caravan by Black Sabbath, there's that very vibey background vocal that sounds like immersed in chorus or just different effects. It's kind of similar to that. Something I can't forget or detest. Coming up here, we have a swell, and then we have this keyboard piece. So I found this Yamaha, it's a Porta synth, and I was cleaning out my grandma's basement and found it. I ended up being able to keep it, and I threw it through my guitar board, and that's how I get these very distorted kind of tones. But on top of that, I was doing a gate, so it's very focused. It's only there when it has to be. Without it, it's maybe more present. Yeah, you get more dead air, I guess. And on top of this, I was kind of getting like a chorusy tremolo. You can kind of hear how that affects it a little bit. I did some distortion as well because I wanted it to be different tonally from the acoustic down here, but I still wanted it to kind of have some type of dirt to still kind of be glued to the rest of the tracks. Like they used to, I can try. There's a third soft vocal that goes over the choruses here. So if I were to go back to that, private, I don't know where to stand. You told me. It's hard to have your vocals sound wider in the chorus or have them sound bigger in the chorus if you already doubled them. So a lot of times you can triple them, quadruple them, quintuple them, but then it's how much is too much. So for this triple vocal, I was making a really quiet, very soft performance, but the intention was to just kind of layer it in. I stopped and let the music in my head, but now I understand. Something else I did from that harmony vocal is you can kind of see the direct cut right there. But these two are just this little harmony that goes over it. It was a very soft. Kind of sounds a little rough on its own, but then what I did is I'd pitch shifted it up 3 semitones. It was supposed to be a harmony, but I wasn't able to record the harmony, sadly. This was a bit of experimentation I did, and I liked how it sounded, so I kept So I think I might have kept the roto speaker off because it sounded just a little awkward like that, but then you take it out and you try it a second time. understand. You can see I was just going through what looks to be the cabinet is a pretty regular sounding. This actually sounds like I might have done my entire pedal board for my guitar into my Focusrite. That might have been why there's a little bit more dirt on the guitars. And you can see there's kind of these little bits. It's not a perfect guitar track, and I've admitted that probably like 3 times now, but a big portion of it was just trying to see is how human can get all these instruments to sound and still tell us. Stopped in the road. So you can kind of hear that. We sat beside the beach, entangled, but I won't look back now on what could have been. I want to say is that first bend might have been just a little sharp, but when it goes alongside the vocal, it feels very true. Look back now on what could have been. It's more intense than the calming vocal that's down here. But what I like is that that guitar goes down in its intensity, the other vocals go up in intensity, and it kind of meets it halfway. But I won't look back now. So hearing all vocals on what could have been. What could have been. So you can kind of hear there's a lot of vulnerability in that third vocal, but it adds a lot of texture to that final portion of the song, especially with all 3 vocals that keep going. Stopped in the road, I can't contest. Still we sat beside the beach, entangled in our stress, and after a while, and that's just going that same type of riff. I was kind of just messing around. Like I said, I'm not the best at keyboards, so I found a riff that worked and I just used it. What good? Then you can see these guitars here. They have a big fade out at the end. You can kind of hear, I think that's just me plucking the strings. I was a little worried. A lot of times when I'm playing guitar, I'll wear a flannel, and the flannel's too long, and it always hits the strings. So I think that's just me plucking the strings, but it could be a flannel. But I'm looking back on this as well. Oh. Yeah, the bass and some elements here. Then I think I might have done. But I won't look. So let's say the keys going. That's about it for the song that I can show you. It's basically just the doubled guitar, the electric guitar, bass, and some vocals, and then a little bit of keyboard spiced in there. But if you stuck around this long, I really thank you for watching. If you appreciate this type of content,